Hi, I'm Malia Baker, and I play Marianne Spear on the Netflix show The Babysitter's Club. I'm very excited to be reading to you a passage from Marianne Saves the Day by Anne M. Martin. I couldn't stand it any longer. I decided to ask my father if he would extend my babysitting hours. If all the other members of the club were allowed to stay out until 10 o'clock, I'd be able to as well. After all, I was the same age as they were, I was just as responsible as they were, and I had just as much homework as they did. The one job that I had to turn down when I was taking phone calls the Friday of our fight had been for a client who needed a sitter until 10 o'clock on Saturday night. Christy had taken the job. I felt humiliated, but I was nervous about facing my father. He wouldn't be angry, he just wouldn't see my side, unless I figured out exactly the right way to approach him, and I wasn't sure I'd be able to do that. But by Monday night, I was ready to talk to him, no matter what. Unfortunately, he came home in a bad mood. "We lost a Cutter case today," he told me. "I can't believe it. I thought it was open and shut. The jury was highly unreasonable." I nodded. "Dad, honestly, sometimes people can be so unfair." "No, not unfair. Unthinking. That's it. Unthinking." We were setting the table, getting ready for dinner. "Dad," I said again, "can you imagine letting someone go who so clearly was guilty of grand larceny?" I shook my head. "I guess not." "Dad? What is it, Marianne?" Right then, I should have decided not to pursue the business of later hours, but I had been planning on it all day. I'd rehearsed what I was going to say. I didn't know if it would work, but I was going to say, very rationally, "Dad, I've been thinking. I'm 12 years old now, and I feel that I could stay out until 10 o'clock every now and then when I'm babysitting. Not on school nights, of course, because I recognize that I need my sleep, but just on some Friday and Saturday nights." "Dad, I've been thinking," I said. The phone rang. Dad leaped for it. "Hello? Yes, I know. I know. Right, an appeal. That's what I was thinking." "What?" "Oh, yes, definitely." The conversation went on for 10 minutes while our frozen pizza finished baking and then began drying out in the oven. Dad finally got off the phone, and immediately it rang again. When he got off the second time, I practically threw the pizza down in front of him. "Dad, I want to stay out until 10 o'clock when I babysit at night," I blurted out. My father looked at me blankly. "What?" "Oh, Marianne, no. I'm afraid that's out of the question." "But Dad, everyone else gets to." "I'm sure not everyone does. You can't possibly be the only 6th grader who has to be in by 9 or 9:30. Dad, I'm in 7th grade, and I am the only member of the Babysitter's Club who can't stay out until 10. You treat me like a baby. But look at me. I'm halfway through 7th grade. In a year and a half, I'll be starting high school." For a moment, my father looked taken aback. Then a change came over his face. He rubbed his hands over his eyes tiredly. At last he said softly, "It's not easy for a father to raise a daughter alone. I've had to be both a father and a mother. On top of that, I'm not home much. I'm doing the best I can. But Christy and Claudia and Stacy, what Christy and Claudia and Stacy and their parents do is not our concern." "That's not fair. Don't you think Mrs. Thomas is a good mother? Don't you think Mimi and the Kishis care about Claudia?" "Those are not my issues," my father said. "The issues are you and me and your bedtime." "Dad, I'm old enough to stay out until 10 o'clock. I'm 12, and I'm very responsible and mature. Don't my teachers always write that on my report card? Marianne is a joy to have in class. She's responsible and mature." "You don't sound mature at the moment." I knew I didn't. I was whining. But it was too late to stop. I was on a roll. I'm also too old to wear my hair in these dumb braids, and my room looks like a nursery. It's a room for a 5-year-old. My father looked at me sharply. "Young lady, I do not like the tone of your voice. You know, you're not the only parent who isn't around much," I went on, ignoring him. "Mrs. Thompson is hardly ever home either, and she has to raise Christy and Christy's brothers alone. And Sam and Charlie don't have Peter Rabbit all over their bedroom. I'd like to see a few changes around here. I like to be allowed to choose my own clothes. I like to take my hair to these braids. I like to wear nail polish and stockings and lipstick. And if a boy were to ever ask me out to the movies or something, I'd like to be able to say yes, without even checking with you first. You know what? Sometimes you don't seem like my father to me. You seem like my jailer." It was that exact moment that I knew I'd gone too far. Sure enough, my father turned his back on me, then in the calmest voice imaginable, he said, "Marianne, the subject is closed. Please go to your room." I went. I felt horrible. I knew I'd insulted him, and I hadn't wanted to do that. But what did he think was going to happen if I wore my hair loose or took down Humpty Dumpty? Did he think I'd run away or start hanging out with the wild kids at the mall? And what could happen between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock while I was babysitting that couldn't happen before 9? I didn't have any answers, but I knew someone who might. Mimi. She was a patient listener, and I often talked to her about things that I might have talked to my mother about. At any rate, I talked to her about things I couldn't discuss with my father. Thanks for watching!